overwhelmed. Sometimes I get frustrated. Sometimes I get excited. Yeah. We are living in exponential times. Would you agree? Yeah. So the beauty of succeeding in a changing environment is that this is our environment all around us. And it's not going to slow down, I anticipate. I think it's probably going to speed up before it slows down. So think about yourself. We're going to spend some time actually today talking about our own reactions to change, how I feel emotionally when we're impacted by external and internal triggers, and how I react. How do you react when you're faced with change? So think about a major change that may have happened over the last year, maybe you've gone through. For me personally, I'll share with you in the last year and a half, I changed jobs, changed industries altogether, going from aerospace to the finance industry, just a little bit of difference, a little bit of change. So that was a huge impact for me as well, personally and professionally. It's changing jobs altogether. So think about yourself, and how did you react? What were you feeling in that time when you were faced with that change? Do you step up to it? Are you excited? Are you scared? And what are those emotional reactions that you have when you're first faced with change? I'm going to introduce you to a model today that's great to use both personally and professional that you can address regardless of what type of change you're faced with. And we'll come back to this a little bit. Change is the only constant. That's absolutely one thing you can count on, is that whatever it is today, it will change. So you can embrace that and know that change is a constant that we're dealing with. Here's some fun stats for you. So take a look at this. 85% of all corporate change efforts fail. All right, well, thanks for coming. Have a great day. 67% of criminals are rearrested within 3 years. They fail to successfully change their own behavior. They fail to make the change, adapt to their environment, and they're back where they were 3 years later. More than 90% of our corporate projects over budget, over schedule, usually miss expectations. Well, that's encouraging. And how about that last one? I know you're probably sitting there thinking, all right, Vicki, what does flossing my teeth have anything to do with succeeding during a changing environment? Well, when it comes to change, what we're really talking about is behavior and changing our own behavior. The truth is, when it comes to influencing change and changing our behavior, typically we're not very good at it. We get comfortable. We like our routines. We like our patterns of behavior. And sometimes it's not always comfortable to change. So even something as simple and routine as flossing our teeth, we may not be very good at influencing ourselves to make that change. So what can we do about it? Let's talk about the basics of change. A lot of times change happens quickly and we start recognizing it's happening. And we look at the what's going on, both in the industry, both maybe in an organization, maybe it's your team at work. And we focus on the what. Seldom do we step back and ask why. What are the triggers that have forced this to happen? What else is going on that's contributing to the change that I'm facing right now? So let's take a look at some internal and external triggers, and I think we'll all recognize that within our industry, the financial industry, we've been faced with a lot of these recently. So let's take a look at the external. Boy, has the economy changed how you do business? Absolutely. Business strategies, that changed any at all for any of your organizations? Just a little bit. How about a political environment? Boy, there's been a lot of changes going on in the political environment that absolutely impact how we do business. Technology. The video highlighted very, very nicely, I think, how quickly technology is changing and how comfortable a lot of the younger generations are with that change. And if you have children at home, you have teenagers, they're very, very comfortable with that rapid technology. And typically I have 2 phones on me at all times. I have an iPad in the car, I have my laptop with me, so I'm kind of a junkie as well. So it's something that is there to stay and it's going to continue to change. Look at those internal triggers. As you think about the teams you work with and organizations that you partner with, within compliance teams, you're partnering with the organization as a whole, and really is a key partnership to maintain, compliance is critical to make sure that organization is safe, right, and minimizes our risks that are out there. Been impacted by any organizational changes lately? What about research and development? Again, there's new things always popping up. Process improvements. How can we do our job more effectively as well as more efficiently? Those are changes that not everybody's always comfortable with handling. So when you're faced with a change, it's very helpful to be able to step back and ask, why is this happening? What are some of those triggers that may be influencing this particular change at this time? And how am I reacting to it? Ever feel like you're on an iceberg? You know, to me, sometimes change can seem like we're on an iceberg, right? It's kind of big, it's daunting. A lot of times it's constantly moving. We feel like we just got this figured out. We just got the team settled into the new process. They're understanding the reports or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden someone introduces something new or puts on a new requirement. A new reg comes out. Maybe there's a new requirement we have to hit this year. It's going to be, a whole new change to how we do business. Boy, it's constantly moving for us. Would you agree that it's not always clear what the big picture looks like? We can't see the whole change that should happen. We can't see what the end result's going to look like. So a lot of times we're sitting on the tip of that iceberg and we realize there's more to what meets the eye, but I can't see it yet. And definitely it can feel unstable. When you're in the midst of org changes, government changes, regulation changes, it can really feel unstable at times. The good news is that there's help, right? There's hope, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and what can I do to make sure I feel a little bit more stable on my iceberg. So one thing I love this saying. Have you guys ever heard this? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah? Don't break it, right? If it ain't broken, don't break it. Yeah. All right. How about this one? I love this. If you can figure out a new way of doing something, the way you're doing it is now broke. So my coaching to you today would be to really adopt the mindset of let's break it. It's working pretty good right now, but can we break it? Is there a better way of what we're doing right now? So if it ain't broke, break it. See if you can find a better way of what you're currently doing. Moves you through that change. How about this one? Continue doing what you've always done. You're going to continue getting the same thing, what you've always got. Right? That's something we've heard a lot. It's not new, a new phrase to us. Let me push up on this a little bit differently. I absolutely believe if we continue doing what we've always done, you're going to continue getting less. And the reason I believe that pretty strongly is that, if you think about it, again, back to that video at the beginning, the bar is always rising. Competition is always pushing. New technologies are always coming out. So if we just keep doing what we're always doing, if we keep going along with good enough, because this has been working so far, everybody else is moving right along up over here. Pretty soon we're way down here. So we're not going to keep getting what we've always got. We're actually going to get less. So when it comes to change, I'd really like to encourage all of us, it's more than just raising the issue. It's more about saying, well, here's what we could do. Here's a solution. It's really about being part of that solution and taking ownership and grabbing onto that change and saying, how can I move this forward? How can I make change happen? We're going to talk about what it means to make change happen. So let's look at these responses to change. And these are really quite helpful if you look at it in terms of yourself. Now, as we go through this, you may have the tendency to want to put names to some of these. I'm going to ask you not to do that. So don't be saying, oh yeah, Mom's totally resistor. Julie, there she is, Julie resisting. So let's talk about this. These are your reactions to change. If you think back to that, the change you've gone through this last year, that big change that I mentioned on that first slide or so. Think about how did I initially react? Did I resist it? Was I someone that said, I'm going to attempt to derail this, or I'm going to sabotage? That's a pretty strong word. But if you think about just resisting it, that's someone that just digs in their heels and says, not going to happen. To quote another one of my favorite books, I'm not, you're moving my cheese and I don't like it. I'm not getting off. I don't want to stay right here because I like it. So that's the resistant. Some of those emotions that when we're in the resistant phase, they surface pretty quickly as fear, anxiety, maybe anger, frustration, feel a little overwhelmed, right? Because we got all this new information just came at us and we're thinking, how does this impact me? So we're going to resist it. That's our initial reaction is sometimes to resist it. As we gain more information, we're going to move from I'm stopped in my tracks at the resistant, and you tend to move more towards the let it. All right, I'm not going to help it, but I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to see what's going on. We've tried that before. I'm going to see what they do over there and see how it works for them. So that's the let it, right? You're not really an active player at this point. You're just letting the change happen. So again, you're thinking like more information starts to come in. Maybe you get some of the why information, some of the triggers that have really started this change down the path. So you're not really fighting it, but you're not really supporting it either. So if you look at those first two bullets, the resistors and the letters, those are really emotional reactions. And the more we recognize it, the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you can realize, all right, here's where I'm at. What do I need to do to help get my head around this? What do I need to do to really, if I really want to be part of the team, part of the organization's success, what do I need to do to move from a let it happen to a help it happen? These are the people who are pretty comfortable with change. You may be one of them. You may be one of those individuals that's naturally pretty comfortable with change. You're excited about it, something new. Let's get out there. Let's see what can I do to help this. So those are your helpers. You know, they're supportive, and they're also very supportive of those who lead. They're quick to get behind it. You know, you can think of individuals within your organizations. Those are your opinion leaders. Those are the people you want to pull in your change efforts to help you get the buy-in you need, because they're pretty excited about it. And then as you continue to move forward into this change and things are settling down and you're really starting to say, all right, this is what it's going to be. Here's the role I want to play. Here's how I want to make sure this is a success. You move from the help it to the make it. I'm a change agent. At this point, you're really the change agent. You're driving it forward. Think about individuals in your organization who you think are the movers and the shakers. Those are the individuals that recognize we got to change here, recognize what we need to do to navigate safely through this, and so that we can be a success. They're also the individuals that recognize not everybody may be on the same page, not everybody may be in the same place. So what can I do if someone's resisting the change? They're the individuals that step back and want to make sure we pull the team in. They're great at communicating to make sure that everybody sees the big picture and communicates to the whole team all the way through, so that if people are on different phases of their change and their acceptance of the change, they're really quick to recognize that. So they're not just moving ahead regardless of the cost. They're making change happen with the team on board. So really strong change agents. Those last two bullets, we move from being more of the emotional reactions to more of the taking action and really accepting some ownership and getting active and playing an active role in making sure this change is a success. So do you see yourself on any point, fellas, if you think about some of the changes you faced recently or even currently within your organizations? Yeah, I can think, even personally for myself, at any given time, I'd probably bounce from some of those bullets, just depending on the information that comes. I may be feeling pretty good. All right, hey, we're moving down the path. And then we get some new information that changes direction. It's time to readjust. So it's easy. It's very normal. It's a very normal process for us to bounce back and forth. The sooner you recognize it, though, the sooner you recognize, hey, I might be resisting here. I might be just kind of letting it happen. The sooner you can get yourself back in check and say, what can I do to make this change happen and be part of the success and part of the solution. So it comes down to asking yourself some questions. You know, will I act and decide without the total picture? Are you comfortable as an ambiguity? Can you make decisions and take action without having the whole picture in front of you? Can you think, future tense and talk about today, talk about the possibilities? That's where the brainstorming comes in and just having some fun with it. So let's just get crazy here and think, what are some possibilities? Now, there may be people out there who probably disagree that when I say, I told the compliance group, let's get crazy. They're like, what? Compliance doesn't get crazy. They're going to follow the rules. With compliance. I bet you guys are pretty creative. In fact, I know you are. In order to keep the risk minimized and keep the businesses moving forward, you're pretty creative of what you need to do to make sure we meet that requirements. Very effective at coping with change, right? And you're comfortable switching gears. You're comfortable navigating as new information comes in. You're going to recognize it for what it is. New information. You're going to readjust if necessary, and then move forward. So these are some great skills, great steps for you as a change agent that you can adopt quickly in order to keep moving forward. So what I want to introduce you to is John Cotter's 8-step process to change. So many of you do not already have the book Our Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter. It's a fable. It's a fun fable that he wrote in order to kind of highlight the 8-step process. It's a fable about a colony of penguins, hence the iceberg earlier in the presentation, that they really followed this 8-step process in order to recognize our environment's changing and what can we do to ensure the success of our colonies and move forward. So we're going to talk about this 8-step process. So first on the stage, and it's about creating a sense of urgency and then pulling that guiding team together. We'll spend a little bit more time on each of those.